Good afternoon. We appreciate all of you being here. As we said this morning, it is terrific to know that there are so many champions for kids that you won't all fit into the rotunda, and that's a terrific moment. We're here today to really unveil the latest kids count data for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Many of you know that kids count for more than 2 decades has been something of a report card on the state of kids nationally as well as in Kentucky. And as you think about kids count, it's frankly frequently easy to get discouraged. You read data points that for the first time ever, more than 1 in 4 kids in Kentucky live in poverty. You look at rates of abuse, you look at proficiency rates in education, and it could be easy to get discouraged. But I actually have lots of hope today. And I have lots of hopes today for 3 different reasons. First of all, because of all of you all. I mean, look around. We have some 80 counties represented. That many citizens committed to kids is good news for kids in Kentucky. I'm also have a lot of hope because to the left of me and to the right of you, I think I did that right, we have a group of legislative champions who in the last couple sessions have made real differences. They have taken items on the blueprint for Kentucky's kids, and they have taken what were ideas and made them into realities. And the third reason that I have real hope for kids in Kentucky is because we have a first family that really is a team that champions kids in Kentucky. And that's Governor and First Lady Beshear. So we especially want to thank you all for being here. As we recognize some folks today, we wanted to do this a little bit differently. I don't know about you, but I've been to a lot of recognitions, and it's like so-and-so, thank you for House Bill so-and-so, and another person, and by the 10th person, everybody's kind of tired. I wanted you to think with me for a moment that maybe, just maybe, the reason that when Governor Beshear was inaugurated for his first term, Kentucky ranked 42nd in the nation in overall child well-being. This last year, we ranked 34th. That is a dramatic improvement. And those kids count rankings are not like basketball rankings. I mean, I'm one of those people that saw the University of Louisville and the school that the governor likes both rated in the top 5. Well, you know, a month into the season, you know, you can't find them in the top 15. But kids count rankings are very different. It is hard to move 1 or 2 notches. The fact that the progress we've made is a compliment to the legislative branch and to the executive branch. So we as a staff started thinking about why was that possible, and we came up with the notion of cardinal virtues for kids champions. You know, cardinal virtues were first written about in the early 14th century, but now they're used a lot. A cardinal virtue in the football game Sunday is going to be fewer turnovers and good special teams play. So we started thinking about what cardinal virtues have made a difference for kids in Kentucky. The first one I'd like to suggest to you is with the First Lady. I asked the governor, and he indicated I could open with her, and he'd go second. And when I think of the First Lady, the cardinal virtue that comes up is persistence. I remember the very first time that the First Lady convened a group of folks to talk about high school graduation. And we went around the table, and that was the year that on the blueprint for Kentucky's children, raising the age was on there for the first time. She asked some questions. The next day, I got a call from her office about it, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And what we know is that the battle to make that idea that we want kids in school in Kentucky, that was not a microwave win, I don't believe, Madam First Lady. That took session after session after session. And maybe the issue that you're working on right now, that's a cardinal virtue that you could apply, persistence. So, Ms. Beshear, if you'll come up, we'd like to thank you for the persistence that you showed on that issue. When I think about Governor Beshear, the cardinal virtue that comes up in my mind is innovation. If you think about the two sectors that just leap out at me that the governor has made such a difference on, it's around kids and health and kids and early childhood. That's not just my opinion. If you look at the kids count data, the arenas, the portfolios that get measured, the two measurements where Kentucky has leapt ahead of other states are those two. And I don't think that's an accident. The governor has not tinkered with those two arenas. He has fundamentally reformed them. And the governor has agreed to share some remarks with us. But before he does that, would you join me in saying, you know, it's not all that usual, but it sure is unique to have a governor whose capacity for innovation for kids has moved us so far ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Terry just leaned over and said, "Now that is a red and not a blue tennis shoe." But I accept it anyway with graciousness. Thank you all for the honors that you're giving to both Jane and me. We appreciate it. Whatever we have done has required help and work and cooperation and collaboration by a whole lot of people, including these folks sitting right over here to my left. The graduation bill would not be on the books today if these people wouldn't step up and get it done with us. And I'm happy to report that when we passed the graduation bill, raising the dropout age, it was a voluntary process, and once 55% of our school districts adopted the policy, then it would become mandatory in 2 or 3 years. Well, we have 173 school districts. And 2 weeks after that law became effective, we went past 55% like it wasn't even there. And today, we've got 140 out of the 173 school districts that have already adopted that policy. So that's a tremendous accomplishment. And that says something about our education community. That says something about their desire to improve the situation for our children. You know, we all have the same hope and the same vision for this state, that every single child will have the opportunity to grow up and to succeed in this life. And for them to be able to do that, they've got to be able to have the health care they need, the education they need, the caring that they need, so that they can be brought to a point that they can successfully compete in this world. Too many of our kids don't have that yet. We have improved the situation to some degree, but we are not there yet. We still have a long road to go. One of the things that we've got to improve on is the child care assistance situation. And I promise you that we are looking very hard in this upcoming budget at doing something about that issue. You know, we went to work not long after I became governor to go out and find children that could qualify for our K-CHIP program. And we enrolled 60,000 more kids in K-CHIP so that they could have health care coverage. We now, through our exchange and through expanded Medicaid, are reaching thousands of more children. So far, overall, over 130,000 people who are previously uncovered are going to be covered by either affordable private plans or by expanded Medicaid. So we're well on our way to bringing our health statistics to a different level. And boy, do we need to do that. Because if we've got healthy children, then these children can learn. But if they're not healthy, then they're not going to succeed in the classroom. So again, on behalf of both Jane and me, thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrea Bennett, and I'm the External Affairs Officer at Kentucky Youth Advocates. And we are going to get to the other awards we're going to present in just a moment. Very quickly, I want to take just a moment because, as the governor said, many of the issues he is working on and leading often fall to several of the state cabinets. And I believe Secretary Audrey Haynes and Deputy Secretary Eric Friedlander are here today from the Cabinet from Health and Family Services. And I just want to give them a round of applause because we know many of the work goes there. Kids Count, the 2013 Kids Count book, would not be possible without the generous sponsorships of 3 organizations from this past year. And we just have a small token for them and are going to let them say a few words. Kosser Charities, who we all know, if you're from the Louisville area, does so much for kids for over 90 years. And Jerry Ward, who's the chairman of the board of directors, is going to say a few words. He is going to be followed by Jill Bell from Passport Health Plan. And in the Louisville area, we know that Passport Health Plan has delivered high quality health care to many low-income individuals. So we're going to give her an opportunity to speak as well. And that will be followed by Les Fugit with the Kentucky Beverage Association. We appreciate the sponsors. We could not make this book possible without their generous support, but not just their support. We appreciate that they also are in line with the mission to make Kentucky the best place in America to be young. So let's give a round of applause for our sponsors.
Thank you. Since 1923, Kosser Charities' one primary mission has been helping children in need. Kosser Charities knows that the quality of a child's tomorrow depends largely on the quality of health, medical treatment, and support that a child receives today. That is why we are happy to partner with Kentucky Youth Advocates and to support their valuable work of serving as the independent voice for the children in Kentucky. This report that we've talked about is an important element in accomplishing their mission, that all children and hometowns throughout Kentucky will have a chance at a better life. And we'd like to applaud the governor and the First Lady for their strong commitment on childhood education. Kosser Charities believes that every child is a gift from God. Thank you.
Thank you. Passport Health Plan has been operating as the Medicaid health plan in the Louisville area and the surrounding 15 counties for over 16 years now. And like Kentucky Youth Advocates, we are a nonprofit organization and we're mission driven. Our mission is to improve the health and quality of life of our members. And 70% of our members are children. Our staff work every day to get our kids in for well child visits, for immunizations, for flu shots, dental care, vision care, and hearing tests, and other preventive services. We commend Kentucky Youth Advocates for their work on the Kids Count project and their work on behalf of children throughout the year. And we thank Governor Beshear, Secretary Haynes, Commissioner Kistner, and all those at the Department for Medicaid Services for the opportunity for us to serve side by side, to work with them to help all Kentuckians live healthier lives. Thank you.
On behalf of the 4,000 employees of the non-alcoholic beverage industry in Kentucky, it's my honor to represent them and thank KYA for the diligent work that they do to improve the lives of Kentucky children. We believe in our industry that data is really important in figuring out where to go ahead, and that's why this report is so critical to the future of Kentucky. In our industry, we've taken steps outside of just government actions to make sure that we're helping children. We've removed our full-calorie products from schools. We've reduced advertising to children by 96%. Those are the kinds of actions that we feel that not only government should be involved in, but individual businesses as well. So we encourage everyone, there's got to be one thing in there in this report that drives you. Find that one thing, go out there, make it happen, and then find that second thing. So to our legislators, we encourage you to take this report and make it a positive next step. And then to those in the private industry, we encourage you to join with our government and make Kentucky a great place for children to live.
Good afternoon. Thank you again to the sponsors for helping make this Kids Count project possible. My name is Tara Gresham-Goodwin, and I work at Kentucky Youth Advocates, and I'm going to share just a brief overview of what the numbers tell us about the health, economic well-being, education, and safety of Kentucky children. This year's data book shows many areas of strength in Kentucky and positive movement on a number of indicators. And this is due in large part to the work of state leaders like those joining with us here today. For example, we are seeing more students graduate from high school on time and expect that improvement to continue. And the rate of teen births has been steadily dropping. There are also many opportunities remaining for improvement, areas where the data show that the children of Kentucky need us to step up and take action. The first area is health. As noted earlier, Kentucky, with Governor Beshear's leadership, has made great strides on ensuring children have health coverage so they can access the care they need to stay healthy. We have work to do, though, to help give children a healthy start. 8.9% of babies in Kentucky were born at low birth weight. This increases a newborn's risk for serious health problems, such as developmental and intellectual disabilities and also vision and hearing loss. LaRue County is the only county in the state with a low birth weight rate lower than 5%. We know that cigarette smoking during pregnancy is the single most important known cause of low birth weight, yet almost 1 out of every 4 babies, or 23%, were born to mothers who smoked during pregnancy. We applaud the work of Representative Susan Westrom, Senator Julie Denton, and also Representative Julie Rocky Adams to advance the smoke-free law, which has been shown to reduce smoking during pregnancy. The second area is family and community. In this domain, we see that youth across the state were incarcerated at a rate of 51.9 for every 1,000 children ages 10 to 17. A closer look at that data showed that most of those cases were for offenses that don't threaten public safety and could be better addressed in the community. Many were even for things like skipping school or running away from home. The very thorough work of the Juvenile Code Task Force that has been led by Senator Whitney Westerfield and Representative John Tilley over the past several months has identified many reforms that would not only help Kentucky youth get on the right track while being held accountable, but it would also improve public safety and use our tax dollars more effectively on what we know works. The third area is education. All children need a quality education to build a strong foundation for their future. And preschool and quality early child care can provide a strong environment for early learning and preparing children for school. Yet the majority of Kentucky's 3- and 4-year-olds, 58%, miss out on preschool. So expanding opportunities for children to have high-quality learning experiences in preschool and in child care settings in those critical early years would set the stage for academic success in school. It looks like nap time is also very important as I'm looking down here at the group. The fourth area is economic security. Kentucky has long faced high poverty rates. For Kentucky children, those rates now exceed 26%. That means more than 1 in every 4 children in our state live in poverty. At the federal level, we've seen that a federal earned income tax credit has been proven to raise children out of poverty, and a state earned income credit could build on that success for Kentucky families. allowing parents to do things like repair their car or get new tires so that they can continue going to work. The Kids Count book this year notes many strengths in Kentucky for giving our children what they need to thrive and succeed as adults. But we also have opportunities to implement changes that would address some of the core challenges facing children. And I encourage all of you to look at the full Kids Count data book and also at the Kids Count Data Center to see where your county stands and where there are opportunities for improvement. With the strong track record of so many state leaders standing up for Kentucky's youngest citizens, we can make great progress together and move the needle for kids. Thank you.
We'd now like to take a few moments and give due honor to some legislative leaders who have really made a difference for children in the last few years. I mean, I don't know about you, but isn't it easy to become cynical? You hear about toxicity in Frankfurt. You hear folks talking about the impact of partisan politics. And it's easy to walk away thinking that not much is happening. When in fact, over the last several years, because of legislative leaders who you see before you, a lot has been going on. Again, what we want to do is animate the recognitions today beyond just simple bills. So I know that that Representative Overly may have to leave a little bit early, so I'm going to start with one of those cardinal virtues that Representative Wuchner and I think Representative Overly exemplify. You know, we talked about that this morning with when Representative Tilley was here, and that is that I think one thing that those two folks did was they caught lightning in a bottle when it came to human trafficking. I remember a Blueprint Steering Committee meeting with some of the leading thinkers around kids in Kentucky 2 falls ago, and I have to tell you that they weren't really sure what human trafficking was and why it was a problem with kids. And those two leaders took that issue, raised it, animated it, passed it, and that means today that young people who are caught in the horrors of human trafficking get help instead of a cell key. So thank you all for catching lightning in a bottle on that particular issue. We also talked about, and some of these folks, I've already told Representative Birch, some of these folks who have been working for kids for a long time probably going to get a couple mentions, but I think that we can't underestimate the role of persistence. And some of you will forget because it's 3 or 4 years ago, but I think a great example of persistence, there's a lot of reasons that Representative Birch could be up here, but the one that I kind of is my favorite with you, Representative Birch, is the idea of a graduated driver's license. It's interesting that 4 years ago, Kids Count data showed that Kentucky had the highest rate of teen mortality in the nation. It was spiking. When we got underneath the surface, what we discovered was that was due to vehicular accidents involving 16-year-olds. That's a very personal issue to Representative Birch, and he will tell you that it didn't necessarily succeed the first time around, but he came back and back and back. When you look at this year's Kids Count book, you will see a multi-year improvement in teen mortality rate. And can I tell you why? It's because Tom Birch was persistent in that bill. Thank you, Representative Birch. Okay. We mentioned that the First Lady had applied persistence to the high school graduation bill, but it still wasn't making it. That's when Senator David Givens stepped in, and he exemplified what I think is such a cardinal virtue, was that Senator Givens crafted together a group of unlikely allies. They are folks who may not agree on every issue, but they agreed that we had to find a way to keep kids in high school. So just as the First Lady gets her due deserts because of persistence, Senator Givens, I think you are a model for inventing unlikely allies to make that happen. Thank you so much. Another area that I think is absolutely vital is when you think about the idea of putting all that together, that one of the cardinal virtues is that good is not the enemy of perfect. So often, and I'm pretty weak, I have a weakness about this, is you want the perfect piece of legislation, and that sometimes just can't happen. I don't think there's a better example of a group of folks who came together and addressed a serious issue of child abuse than a group of legislators I'm going to mention. There was a Kentucky Youth Advocates sponsored a summit 2 winters ago in the light of the Amy Dye and a number of other tragedies. And out of that summit came a recommendation for a child fatality review panel. The governor made that happen initially with an executive order, which was an important first start. But there are several ways that we can improve that panel. And that process started last year. Now, we think there are still some steps that need to be taken to make that panel not just good, but great. But I can tell you that that panel would not be operating today except for the fact that Representative Wuchner, Representative Lee, Representative Wayne, Representative Westrom, and Representative Benvenuti all came together, and they all figured out that they had to make sure that good did not become the enemy of perfect. And it was because of that realization that kids today in Kentucky are protected more carefully than they were just 12 months ago. Thank you all so much for that. Come on up. Finally, I believe, we have one legislator. Representative Lee, did you?
Representative Lee up.
You didn't come up. We called.
Thank you.
The final person we want to recognize is really more of a legacy award, because I believe that in her time in the Senate, Julie Denton has practiced innovation and persistence and unlikely allies and the realization that good is not the enemy of perfect. I, for one, think that kids in Kentucky are going to lose a real voice. But Senator Denton, we thank you for all you've done for all the kids for so very long. Thank you. We want to thank all of you for all you do. We want to thank all of you for being here today. And it's terrific to know that we have champions like you and leaders like you as we join together to make Kentucky the very best place in America to be young. Thank you.